Welcome to 4 Cities and 421 Flies, brought to you by thepricegenie.com.
Welcome back to 4 Cities, 421 Flies. This is going to be the fourth attempt at the Sierra Nevada Bush Tour, Breckenridge to Mariposa. I didn't realize there was multiple different legs. Today we're just doing the first leg. I think we're ready to go here. There we go. Now the whole point of the bush trips is zero navigation. Visual flight rules. We give you a heading. We give you a distance. We give you a speed. We give you a stopwatch. This proved to be incredibly difficult if you don't know what the hell you're doing. Okay, our first heading is 13. Right over here. Okay. 13 degrees is what we're looking for. And since this is my fourth attempt at this, the canyon we're looking for, the Kern Canyon, right up there. We'll probably do a canyon run this time, because that was a lot of fun. So for those of you who haven't done the bush trips yet, let me just tell you it's broken up into different legs. And if you get part way through, it will save your location, so the next time you make an attempt, that's where it will spawn your plane. I didn't know that. And so it was spawning me at the end of the first leg, but I was navigating as if it was the first. This meant I was lost in the mountains. Something you don't want to do in a plane this size. But now that I've failed 3 times, I think I got it. Yeah, it's actually kind of fun. The bush trips look fun if you know what you're doing. So, lots of different airplanes, lots of different simulation situations. So it's really great. And you'll see once we get into this one, it's a lot of fun too. When you cross the Sierra Nevada mountains in the western United States in a plane of this size, right? Little Cub, little Cessna, you want to look for those canyons. Going over the summits isn't always the best plan. There is a service ceiling. It can be done. But yeah, just try and stay on point. Can't see it so good from the area of Breckenridge, but way out there is the city of Bakersfield, California. And this is literally the southern end of the Sierra Nevada mountains here. So after this, you kind of taper off into Los Angeles down that way. So. All right, so we're going to take the airplane down into the canyon here. Throttle up. Please keep your hands and arms inside the plane. FL005 flies the Kern River in the Sierra Nevada mountains. Brought to you by thepricegenie.com. Eden cookies from Cookies by Design. Graduation's coming up, Mother's Day. It's a little late for Easter. I don't know if they can get it delivered by that time, but Cookies by Design, they let you design your own beautiful gift basket with cookies of your choice. I recommend getting one for yourself. Yummy sugar cookies are a big part of self-care. At thepricegenie.com. Not a professional pilot, not a private pilot, not even a virtual pilot yet. These sort of canyon runs are dangerous. That's why you pay extra. Here on the Kern River. I've done this flight both ways. 10,000 feet. Here we're at like 1,800. I definitely like the canyon flight better myself. It feels like it's faster. I know it's not, but it does feel that way. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just concentrating on keeping my eye on the stick. You don't want to rack against one of these canyon walls here while we're all out having a good time, right? Want everything nice and smooth. Beautiful, right? Look at all the mountains. It's really pretty in the winter, too. Rugged country. Mm-hmm. Can easily get lost up here. It's already happened 3 times. Look at the highway. It's so funny. The simulation has the, highway following the elevation of the map instead of cutting a path through it. I mean, that's what it looks like to the robot, right? Hilarious. Yeah, I've seen highways go underwater and completely disappear in gullies. Excuse me. .421 flies here at 4 cities. We're going to pull out of the canyon, get a little altitude as we head into Lake Isabella. This is a man-made lake, big dam. And there's a really important feature if you're planning on taking this bush trip I want to point out to you, because it did cause me some problems. Hopefully you can avoid the same situation. Just going to set it up here for a nice cruising altitude. Get it all trimmed up. Remember to trim out these smaller airplanes without an autopilot. It's all about your speed and your glide ratio. On this one, I figured out it's down near kind of 3,500. You got to set your throttle to about 3,500. Now your airspeed's only going to be about 69, 70 knots. But that is when the airplane basically trims out. And let's see, looks like I almost got it now. Yep, that's perfect. Okay, no hands. 421 flies. All right, as we approach Lake Isabella, let's check the nav log. Kind of get a reading about where we are. Lake Isabella 24 is supposed to be our heading. However, so yeah, Lake Isabella, you're nearly out of Kern Canyon. After a few more twists and turns, the river will lead you past a town born during the California Gold Rush. Toward the heart of the Kern River Valley is Lake Isabella. From the shore of the massive man-made reservoir, follow the curves of Lake Isabella to the east. In the distance, you'll find the mouth of another river feeding the lake. This is the South Fork Kern River, and it's waiting to lead you further. The South Fork Kern River flows past several small flatland towns, eventually leading to a riverside community bordered by two rocky outcroppings, a wide open invitation back into the Sierra Nevada Mountain Pass. That's Onyx. Okay. I made a huge mistake because I was mixed up. I was literally mixed up. This is the problem with visual flight rules and visual navigation is if you're not paying attention to your compass and where you're headed, you're going to get mixed up. Okay, so we're supposed to fly along the east. Look at the compass, the east shore of the lake. On one of my attempts, for whatever reason, I decided it should be the west shore, and I went up that canyon over there. That was incorrect. That's part of the reason I got lost. So when you get to Lake Isabella, make sure you stay on the east side or the right side of the shore if you're taking off from Breckenridge. I don't know if you can see the dam right there. And then this is part of the water supply that is for Bakersfield and all the farming that goes on down in that valley. That's a big dam. Two sides. Going to make our turn here to head down the east side. Now, if you go west, there is a canyon, and there is a river, and there is a highway up that direction. It's just the wrong way. You want to head due east. That big opening that direction takes you to the other side of the Sierra Nevada mountains without going over some of these peaks. So. It's been a learning experience. The whole flight sim virtual pilot 421 flies at 4 cities. And just for kicks, let's check our nav log, see what our heading is supposed to be here. 70. Okay, and that's what we're on, 70. So, yep, these visual flight rules work. They do. Just gotta know what you're doing and stay on it.
Welcome back to The Price Genie at thepricegenie.com. This is the face of AI design. Artificial intelligence is going to be everywhere, so why not put it on your shirt? The robots are coming. This is the face of AI. Seriously, this is what AI really looks like. It looks great on aprons, coffee mugs, and coasters for a gift. Shirts, skirts, dresses, hoodies, sweatshirts, baseball caps, stat hats, and bucket hats. They all have the face of AI. We've even got tote bags, duffel bags, blankets, pillows, duvet covers, and shower curtains. Yes, even acrylic block art for your office, all with the face of AI. New items magically appearing every day. Subscribe to the Magic Lamp. It's all at The Price Genie at thepricegenie.com. Quality at great prices.
Welcome back to 4 cities and 421 flies.
There's the South Fork of the Kern River. It basically just used to flow all the way through before they built the lake. It would just flow through this valley, very fertile. And that's why you still got some really healthy farms back up in here. But yeah, most of this is just part of the vast network of California water projects. Is what that was built for. Farming, Bakersfield, Los Angeles. Okay, nice steady course. We're in the right place. We're headed the right direction. Next stop, Onyx. Then we cross the mountains over to Inoyokern, I believe it is. Inoyokern? I can never pronounce the airport's name. Yeah. Destination for our first leg here on the Sierra Nevada bush trip through the Yosemite Mountains, the Sierra Nevada Mountains. It's part of the achievements in your private profile of Flight Simulator 2020 Anniversary Edition. I don't know if it's actually in 2024. I would assume that the career mode replaced all of that. There's this bush trip, the bush trip to Patagonia, and then also the bush trip through the Balkans, which I wouldn't have thought of that one, but that's part of the achievements, so that's where we're going. Each one of these takes about 9 hours in total. This is one of the longest ones. It's broken up into 25 different legs. So it's going to be a lot of takeoffs and landing. This is one of the longest legs here, the first one. Coming up Monday on 4/21 at 4:21 Bordeaux time. 4/21 is going to be flying the North Pole. The achievement is frequent flyer miles. It's the big migration, the exodus of the Asobo team from Bordeaux, France, all the way to Seattle, Washington, and the Microsoft Empire headquarters. So this is an 8.5 hour flight we'll be doing Monday. You want to be at the airport 4:21 Bordeaux time in France. Now, this is going to be different for everybody depending on where you're joining us from. West Coast United States, that's 7:21 in the morning. So hope you can join us at least at one time during that 8.5 hour period. We are going to be resetting the stream every hour. just to try and keep it fresh. Not sure how that's going to work so good. And if for whatever reason there's a network problem and the plane leaves the virtual space, we're flying a 740, we'll restart at the last achieved waypoints. So we'll be keeping track of that as well. And this amazing journey is sponsored by thepricegenie.com and Pete's Coffee. We are drinking their special organic blends. In fact, one of those is the Yosemite Do-Si-Do. That's the name of it. It was really good, too. We finished it already. We're on the Alameda one, I believe. We got 3 organic coffees from Pete's Coffee. They're all really tasty. And you can find a link for a special offer, free delivery, or 10% off your first order at thepricegenie.com with Pete's Coffee. 421 flies at 4 cities. When you fly the Sierra Nevada bush trip through the Yosemite Mountains, the Sierra Nevada Mountains, and you get on the other side of Lake Isabella, after following the east coast of the lake, you're going to go to the South Fork of the Kern River. Follow it along with the highway. However, up ahead, the river and the highway will diverge. You want to keep following the highway. And then way up there, I don't know if you can see the valley, just past Onyx. That's where we're going to turn east and go over the mountain and hopefully find the airport. No hands. ILS eyes closed. No nothing. Just a compass. VFR rules. Yep. And so hopefully this time we'll be right there. We can land the plane. I'm so excited. It's taken 4 times. Yeah. These little Cubs are not my favorite airplane. However, in these situations, mountains, canyons, obstacles, things like that, it's actually a perfect plane. And let me tell you why. It goes so slow, and the glide rate is so good. You've got plenty of time to fix any mistakes or screw-ups, wrong turns. I would say the only downside is if you do happen to get lost, like your navigation, your heading, whatever it is, isn't quite spot on, it can take forever to figure that out because you're going so slow. Okay, right up here is Onyx. And we're going to turn, head east. What's the heading here? We're going to play by the rules this time. 121. All right. Freeman Junction, heading 121 due east till Highway 178 meets State Route 14 at the long since dead ghost town of Freeman Junction. And then you'll find the Inoyokern Airport. Okay. Okay. All right, so take a look down there. See, river goes west, road goes east. This is where you make your turn. And it's a little deceptive here, because when you first turn in here, it's like, wow, that's a lot of mountains. How do I get over that? Guess what? You're not going to do that. See your compass? It's only at 65. We need to be going to 121. And the best way to do that is if you look directly ahead of the airplane, see that ridge? You know, the road, the highway actually goes around that ridge. And if you don't want to climb the mountain, you could, maybe we should do that just so you can see what I'm talking about. I tend to go over the mountain, meet it on the other side, but this is where you would do that. And then once you get to the other side of the ridge, it opens up and there's a valley all the way to your destination. What was it? Highway 141. Otherwise, that peak ahead of us there is almost 8,000 feet, 9,000 feet. And that's how I tried to get there on one of my earlier attempts and almost didn't make it over the mountain. It was a little scary. So I think this time we'll do the appropriate route. I'm sorry, at least the one that's in the directions. Our visual flight rules, since that's what the mission's about, right? How to fly without navigation aids. Yeah. On my second and third attempt, this is where the airplane was spawning. Like this, I'd spawn here because this is where I'd made it to. And I'd be like, okay, and I'd start at the beginning of the route, which was totally wrong. Okay. I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's an hour later. Like, it takes an hour to figure out, like, oh, I'm lost in the mountains. Mm-hmm. All right, we are going to gain some altitude, and our heading is 121. Now you can see the mountains ahead of us. We are going to get some altitude, but I want you to pay attention, because once we hit 121, you'll see it is basically a straight shot through this little canyon valley here to the destination. Very bush pilot-like. You know, we really shouldn't be above 10,000 feet. I almost lost my breath on the other attempt where I tried to scale that peak with this little airplane. I'm going to go this way this time. And this is where you follow the highway, which is what I was told the first time. I was just following the wrong highway. These are all the things that can happen to you if you're not watching 421 flies at 4 cities. Look at that. Heading 121 straight through this valley up here at 6,000 feet, not 8,000 feet. Big difference. And you can see the highway directly in front of the plane. We're on course. So we're like heading 137. I could go over to 121 and go over the mountain there, but I'm more interested in kind of cutting it through that valley and following the road. So that's going to be our heading. 138. So if we were on heading 121, we'd be going over that little ridge over there. But I just want to keep my altitude at 6,000 feet, so we're going to stay on 146. And then once we get around this peak, we'll dive down into the valley. After you get down into the valley, it's pretty easy. You go north 5 miles, airport should be right there. No eyes. or ears, Mom. E. Yeah. I can just tell you, having done this 3 times already, making sure you're on course and flying out of the Sierra Nevadas into this valley, like through this mountain valley here at 6,000 feet, is a lot easier than trying to do it at 8,000 or 9,000 feet. Like trying to get this airplane up to that altitude was almost impossible. I almost virtually died. Okay, we got the airplane all trimmed up. We're just going to set a course. See those 2 peaks out there? I'm going to aim kind of for that direction. The road does just go down into the valley and hook up with 395, I believe it is. But I can shorten the route here if I just aim for those 2 peaks and kind of go through the middle there. All right. 421 flies at 4 cities. So this over here is the beginning of the Great Basin, the desert that goes from the Sierra Nevada mountains to the Rocky Mountains through the state of Nevada and Utah. And it mostly looks like this. Big, wide open spaces between mountain ranges. Head south and, I don't know, kind of jog east a little bit and you'll be in Las Vegas. Go north, you'll eventually hit Reno and Lake Tahoe. Well, that's where we're going to be flying to in future legs of this bush trip. And here we are. Look at that. There's the airport. Perfect. I have no idea how I screwed that up so bad 3 times in a row. 3 times in a row. Absolutely awful. 4th time's charm. All right. Going to bring the airplane down a little bit. We're still up at 6,000 feet, so going to be on approach down to about 1,500. It's not the most managed airport. There is someone there to fuel up the plane for the next leg, but I believe as far as like wind conditions and, you know, best approach directional landing, there's a windsock. You know what a windsock is, right? It's not the thing on your foot. It's like that cone-shaped piece of fabric at the airport. That's a windsock. This is how you tell yourself where to land on a bush trip. They got all ends of the spectrum here in Flight Simulator, right? They got the very advanced A320, 747, then they got the Cub. Stay on the stick. Now I am aware of where the windsock is here. It's kind of off to the side of the runway. So we're just going to give it one little pass, hopefully figure out where the wind direction is, and then we'll be able to land the plane safely. As 421 flies. Do you see what I mean by glide rate? It does not matter how hard I push down on the stick. It still wants to pull up until the airspeed drops. That's part of the reason these planes are kind of safe. Really hard to crash. If anything, it's going to happen on the landing or if you're flying too low, but generally very safe. I am so happy we found this airport. Flight time, just 50 minutes, just spot on with the VFR instructions that we had. So this is great. Mastering a new important virtual skill. All right. So as we approach up here, keep your eyes open for the windsock. Let's see if we can get an idea of what the wind speed and direction is before we land. Not that it makes a difference. I pretty much know how to land regardless of direction or wind speed or shear or gusts, any of that, but I'm just trying to play along. Okay, there's the windsock right there. Do you see it? Right over there? See it? Got another couple airplanes here. Almost no wind. And I do see the direction. So we're going to land due south. And so let's pull out here for a little approach. 421 says a good landing always begins with a good approach. Just like the training mission instructor. That's good. Bring it around. Uh-oh, this is going to be a little tight. I wasn't expecting this. Oh, boy. That's a little tight. It's okay, though. I think I can still do it. That was not what I had in mind. I don't want to blow it right when we get here. Huh, huh. Easy. Easy. Uh-oh. I might want to try some flaps. There we go. That makes a difference too. Yeah. Nice and safe. 4-point landing. Okay. Okay, thanks very much for joining me for the first leg of our Sierra Nevada journey across the Yosemite section of the Sierra Nevada mountains, 25 legs. We'll pick it up again. But yeah, this is good. This is good for our overall training as we head into 421 for the big flight. Like, you got to know how to do everything, right? And thanks again to thepricegenie.com for sponsoring our flight. Pete's Coffee, Cookies by Design. You can find the links there. Also, you can find all our social media at my421.com. You can find a link there to the live 8.5-hour flight that we're going to be doing. Just need to get over here to where they refuel, and then I'll get checked off for this first leg. You got to get to the airport, park, lock it down. Can't remember if I turned my engine off. I think so. And it was like, checkbox, you've completed the first leg of your journey. Oh, that feels good. I'm hoping I'm going to feel it here in a minute. Maybe you can feel it with me. No taxi, directional arrows, nothing. You don't get anything. You get your compass. Compass. Oh, that's interesting. This time it's a different plane. Wow. What a simulation. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. Thanks again for joining me for 421 Flies on this bush trip here at Four Cities. Whoops. Yeah, that was real good. We'll see you next time here at 421 Flies. Four Cities.
We sure hope you've enjoyed your flight. See you next time. 421 Flies at Four Cities.
You know what blows my mind? A recent study found that 68% of relationship-ending conflicts start with seemingly trivial disagreements, like how to make the perfect cup of coffee.
That's such a fascinating statistic. What made you bring that up?
At the Price Genie, we keep an eye on research. Well, I just came across this story that perfectly illustrates this. A young couple whose relationship is potentially unraveling over their morning coffee routine. He's 24, she's 23, and they've been living together for 6 months when things started getting intense.
Intense over coffee. That seems a bit extreme.
So here's what happened. This guy had this sweet morning ritual of making coffee for his girlfriend. But she started demanding this incredibly precise method, measuring grounds to the exact gram, pre-warming mugs for exactly 30 seconds, specific milk temperatures.
Oh wow, that's getting into professional barista territory. How did he handle all these new requirements?
At first, he tried to accommodate everything because, in his words, if she loves coffee that much, I want to make it nice for her. But it turned into this daily interrogation about every single detail of the process.
You know, this reminds me of research showing how criticism in relationships typically follows gender-specific patterns. What happened next?
Well, things reached a breaking point when she actually took his carefully made coffee, dumped it down the sink, and started making it herself while lecturing him about doing it wrong. Relationship experts call these kinds of moments sentinel events, seemingly minor incidents that reveal major underlying issues.
That's such a powerful example of how these small conflicts can escalate. How did people online respond to this?
The response was fascinating. One comment got over 19,000 reactions saying, "If I ask my boyfriend to do something for me, I accept that it is a favor, and I can't be picky." But what's really interesting is how this reflects broader patterns in relationship dynamics.
Tell me more about those patterns, especially the gender differences you mentioned earlier.
So research shows that men typically respond to criticism by withdrawing, which is exactly what this guy did by saying, "Make your own coffee." Women, on the other hand, often try to regain control through increased specificity, like these detailed coffee instructions.
That's really interesting how these gender-typical responses can actually make conflicts worse instead of better.
Exactly. And what's particularly fascinating is that studies show these daily interactions are actually better predictors of relationship success than how couples handle major conflicts. It's these small moments that either build or erode trust over time.
So what do relationship experts suggest for handling these kinds of situations?
Well, the key is recognizing when something is actually about the surface issue, in this case, coffee, and when it's about deeper patterns. Research indicates that couples who can identify these underlying issues are 67% more likely to resolve conflicts successfully.
That makes so much sense. How can couples start recognizing these patterns?
One effective approach is what therapists call the pause and reflect method. Before reacting, ask yourself, is this really about coffee, or is it about feeling respected and appreciated? Studies show this simple pause can reduce relationship conflicts by up to 30%.
These statistics really put things in perspective. What's your take on the future of this coffee-conflicted couple?
Well, relationship experts suggest that couples who can turn these conflict points into opportunities for growth have a much better chance of long-term success. But here's the kicker. Research shows that 85% of relationship issues are actually unsolvable. It's not about fixing everything. It's about managing these differences effectively.
That's quite a sobering statistic. What's the key takeaway for couples facing similar situations?
The most crucial thing is understanding that these small daily interactions, whether it's making coffee, doing dishes, or folding laundry, are really opportunities for showing love and respect. When we get too caught up in perfection, we lose sight of the connection these rituals are meant to build.
That really brings everything full circle, from coffee to connection.
And perhaps that's the real lesson here. Sometimes a cup of coffee isn't just a cup of coffee. It's a daily opportunity to choose between perfection and connection, between criticism and appreciation. The question is, which one are we brewing in our own relationships? Check out some of our favorite coffees at thepricegenie.com. They feature some very tasty organic blends we know you'll love.
Sharing a good cup of coffee can really do wonders for your relationships.
Visit www.thepricegenie.com to live and love better and learn more.